Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 9 of the Guitar Gear Locker. With my name is Alex Brooks, with my co-host Roger Sutherland, and I'm pleased to have my friend Mike Deleon from fleshhoarder, Phil Anselmo and the Illegals, Soulfly. I guess you can go on and on, all the different stuff Mike has done. And yeah, Mike, thanks for coming on tonight.
Man, Alex, we've been friends a long time, man. Thank you so much for having me be a part of this, and Roger as well. Looking forward to hanging and talking with you guys, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
No problem, man. So I guess we'll just start off with how do you remember how you got into music, and was there a moment when you realized that you wanted to be a guitar player, or maybe there was another instrument that kind of led into the guitar first?
Man, that's a good question. For me, in my life, the instrument of the guitar has always been there since, just when I was a really little kid. I remember being 3 years old and picking up the guitar for the first time, and it was my dad's acoustic that would just always sit in the room, and he'd pluck on it. He wasn't the best guitar player. He was more of a singer, and he loves to sing. So hearing his voice and hearing him sing just different songs of the past always was there. But then I remember picking up the guitar at 3, and then just kind of just wanting I was interested. I was interested in the instrument. And then I remember at 4 years old, not too many people know this, but my first instrument was a violin. And
Oh, wow.
when I was in preschool, my mom and dad put me in the band thing and with a bunch of other little kids, and I got to play the violin. And I don't remember being good for any reason, but I just remember, having that instrument in my hand and wanting to make it sound good or make some sounds out of it. And then when I was 4 as well, my mom and dad took me to my first concert, and it was in 1986, and we got to go see Stevie Wonder. And I just remember Stevie Wonder just, in the round, and his band being around him, and just feeling the vibe of the music and just feeling the live. It was something else. And then that same year, 1986, it was December, my pops took me to see David Lee Roth on the Eat 'em and Smile tour.
Oh, shit.
With Greg Bissonette on drums and Billy Sheehan. Steve Vai on guitar, and the one and only David Lee Roth. And like I said, I was 4 years old. It was my second concert in the same year. And I just knew. I remember seeing David Lee Roth flying over us on a surfboard, and he was doing his thing, and then seeing Steve Vai playing the double heart guitar. I remember seeing that off in the distance, and I just knew, this is what I want to do. I want to play. I want to rock. I like this. I like what's going on. I want to be into this. And then it was just show after show, concert after concert. But besides that, the instrument of the guitar was becoming more and more apparent. I just remember getting a guitar from a pawn shop at 8 years old, and taking lessons at 10 years old to 12 years old. So it was always. It just got more and more into the instrument. I never strayed away. It was just like it was the other way. So then just to keep going, I was also in band from 6th grade to 12th grade, and I was on the drum line, and I was always on percussion. And I think in my life, the drums, it got me on that rhythm. Just the 1, 2, 3, 4. I could just count and be on the rhythm from learning that all those years. So mixed with the guitar, music has just always been in my life. So it's always been there. And that's what led me to wanting to play the guitar for my life.
Right.
Wow. That's an awesome story. And also
like cool journey, man.
David Roth tour with the musicians that were in that band at that time was like that, I could see how that, that it inspired you, to see that, because yeah, I mean, what a band.
Oh man, what
Yeah.
what a lineup! It was. I
Yeah,
always
yeah.
say for different things, I call it a moment in time. I was like, man, what a moment in time that was, because that was 3 years, 4 years, however long it lasted. Maybe not even that. It was just a
Yeah.
beautiful moment in time of five guys locking in on stage and performing at their absolute best. So I was just fortunate for my dad to hold my hand and walk in and to see that. It was pretty awesome.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
good dad, man.
Yeah, my dad's still here, man. Still
Yeah.
hanging in there, man. Still rocking it. He's
Good
cool.
deal. Good deal. What was your
Awesome.
first guitar? You said you got your guitar at 8. What was it?
It was like it was a spin-off guitar. It wasn't like a certain brand, but it looked just like a Fender like Stratocaster. It was
Right.
like the body and the neck of like a Fender Stratocaster, but it was just like a knockoff guitar. And
Yeah.
I still have the guitar. I still got my
Nice.
first guitar. Many guitars
Oh,
come and go, but for some reason I never let go of this one guitar that I got when I was 8, and I still have it. And it's just I remember like just wanting to learn, and I learned
Yeah.
on this one, and then getting a little amp, and then getting just trying to get some stuff together to make some noise. So
Mhm.
it was just going on from there.
It's always interesting to ask. I guess I'm the guy that always asks the first guitar because it seems like we all started at the same place. It was like, well, I'm a generation ahead of you probably, so it's like Sears and Roebuck acoustic electric, and then a Les Paul knockoff, and we all started with some kind of knockoff,
Yeah,
It's
I
cool.
just remember going. My pop's taking me to the pawn shop, and I saw this cool looking black and white guitar on the wall, and I was like, that one,
Yeah.
and it was a knockoff, and we
Yeah.
$150 later, we were all happy to have a guitar, so
There you go.
Yeah.
it was cool.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
to feel that magic in your hand, because it's just kind of like, holy shit, this is it right here,
Yeah.
because I remember that as a kid, my first guitar and holding it, it was just like, this magic wand or whatever, and,
Mhm.
and yeah, so yeah, that's awesome, man. And with that first guitar, because for me, the first guitar I had was it was a piece of junk, but it had action like this high. And
Yeah.
I remember I would come home from school and I didn't care. I just wanted to learn so bad, and I would bleed, like, and
Yes.
but it just, it made me better, I think, in certain ways, and I know a lot of guys, that start off with these like really bad instruments, but kind of help them
Right.
become a better player in certain ways,
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I gotta say about my first guitar, now that we're talking about it and it's stirring up these memories, and you said how the action was really high. I
Yeah.
remember this guitar being more like a surf guitar. It was almost like a it
Big
just
Dale.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it gave off that vibe on this
Yeah.
guitar. It wasn't even like a metal or a rock. It just had this really like surf rock vibe
Yeah.
sound that came out of this guitar. And
Yeah.
so I remember that. I remember that about my first guitar.
Yeah. And I think that that's the thing with me being a tech now and especially having my own business. I try to cater to the younger players because I actually stopped playing when I was a teenager for a long time because it's just destroying my wrist and my fingers, and you're like, hell with this. Let me go skateboard or BMX bike or something like that. And now I try to make sure like when younger players, especially like I had a dad bring in a guitar a couple of weeks ago, it's like you're definitely going to hook those guys up to keep those kids playing.
Yes, you got to, man. You got
Yeah,
to.
absolutely.
It means a lot to these dudes,
Yeah,
so and as an older cat, you see it in these younger guys,
yeah,
walking in at 15 to 18 to 20, and
yeah,
they have that drive that we had when we were, that age. So it's
yeah,
always good to set them up, as best
yeah,
you can, man.
yeah,
yeah.
definitely, definitely.
I don't know if it's like that for you, but like speaking about the younger generation, it's like sometimes when I look out into the crowd, and especially when you see the young kids up front, they're like 14 years old or whatever, and you see that that fire in them, and that just, you know, that inspiration. And it brings me back to when I was a kid, you know, going to see, you know, Iron Maiden or whoever, you know, and just being, you know, there's Dave Murray, holy shit, you know,
Yeah.
and just you know, that the inspiration and just the fire that, you know, that I felt. And I see that in these kids, and it's just, it's good to be the person kind of giving it back, you know, and I'm sure that's the same for you, you know.
It
It's just
feels
like,
good.
you know.
Yeah.
It definitely feels good. You can feel that emotion coming from the fans, and it could be all ages.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
the passion is there, and you could feel it. You know, it might not be with every single person. Some guy might be doing whatever, but you look and you'll see those fans that are feeling that emotion, and you just give it right back to them. You know, and you want to give it even, you know, your best, because you know they'll remember that forever. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. Yep.
That's cool.
It
So, you
is.
know, as far as like, you know, the different bands, you've played with a lot of different bands, and you're a metal guitar player, but there's a lot of different kind of styles, you know, and you know that you play, you know, whether it's with, you know, Fleshhoarder, which is like, you know, really super heavy, brutal death metal band,
Right.
or with Anselmo's band, or with Soulfly, which all very different. Do you find that playing with different players, you know, that have, you know, maybe a different style, whatever, like has shaped you a lot as a musician? You know, because like for me, just all the different things and projects that I've done over the years, it broadened me, I feel, as a player. You know, do you feel the same way that, you know, it's you've grown as a player as a result of playing with all these different people?
Man, that's a great question right there, Alex. I gotta say that, you know, very much so, very much so. You learn and develop even with your style, sharpening up, shaping up, uh, the attack, the laid back, the tempo. You learn all this from working with different guys, and
Hmm.
I could say in my life, I really started learning that when I was in a band called MOD with Billy Milano.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was with him for, you know, I was a younger kid, and I was really coming into this band that was kind of taking me to do some stuff, you know, around the world or whatever. But learning and being around Billy Milano, you know, and then to go from Billy to Philip Anselmo, and then to Max, and everyone in between. It started
Yeah.
with Billy. I remember just learning a lot from him and developing the way I would do things and the way I would play and the way just different styles. He was more of a hardcore guy. I was kind of a metal guy, and we were
Mhm.
mixing stuff, and I was having to adapt to what he wanted, you know, and what he was trying to come across. And then from there, the Illegals was just like a whole other spastic, extreme death metal, black metal grind. I
Mhm.
tightening up, and the musicians in the Illegals, from Steven to Derek to Philip to Joey, you know, they were in a whole nother realm of musicianship, especially with Philip and his style and the way he would connect weird notes, man, make them sound really cool and off. And
Mhm.
you know, with Immolation, you could kind of being in the Illegals. I remember when I was writing and being a part of it, Immolation at the time was a very big a part of it. And I remember saying, Immolation is in these riffs right now. I'm trying to bring the feel of what they do into what I'm trying to write, and that was just in that right there. But I clearly remember that, you know, while I'm talking about the Illegals, and then with
Yeah.
Soulfly and jamming with Max and playing some groove, man, it was, you know, even with the Pantera stuff, talk about groove, and then doing the Soulfly stuff, it was just such a groove. And it changes everything from night and day, from hardcore to metal to death metal. Now we're playing some good groove, and it's keeping you in time and solid. So and then all the guys in that band just feeling the emotion, learning the
Mhm.
slow it down, the tribal beats. I mean, man, there's so much to learn, you know.
Yeah.
So being in music, you know, and being around these musicians, it definitely has shaped uh, the musician I have become today. And moving into the future, it's just gonna keep going, and I can just keep going with other musicians who aren't like Carlos Santana, you know,
Yeah.
who's not even metal whatsoever, but he has a huge role in my playing, especially with guitar solos. You know, just
Right.
trying to have that feeling and that emotion, and not so much shred, but more of like just soul and feel, and just
Mhm.
the playing of what Santana would put in a metal solo or something, just bringing that vibe, and you know, just
Yeah.
Joe Perry from Aerosmith. What a great guitar
Yeah.
player, man. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, he plays with the clean channel and he's shredding it up, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
So like it's just different players, and you know, taking all that and just trying to learn from that, and just like I said, play your best. But it all that has definitely shaped me to be, you know, the musician I am today, from learning and playing with all these crazy musicians, man. It's,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
I mean, you say feel, you know, that's to me, that's the most important thing. Like you could sit there and anybody could shred all this stuff, but you know, like you know, you brought up like Santana and his
Mhm.
vibrato, his feeling and his playing
Yeah.
and his identity. Like you
Yeah.
know it's him. Once you hear
Yeah.
you know, I could be in the other room and I'll hear something and I know that's, you know, Carlos
Carlos
Santana,
Santana,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you know,
and
and
and that's more important than all that stuff. Like you said, the
Right.
feeling and the vibe of everything, you know, and you know that's more important than you know a zillion notes, you know, in 2 seconds, you
yeah,
know.
because you know, you could see a guy shred a million notes. There's 1,000 guys that can just go just shred, you know, and I'll sit there and watch it, but I want to tell the guy, okay, now write me a riff, write me something I'm
Yeah,
gonna,
yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, write me something I'm
exactly.
gonna remember, because you know, I'll just walk into the next room and the same guy is gonna be doing the same thing. So
Yeah.
I always just try to just bring us just that feel, man, and those,
Mhm.
look for those certain notes, you know, and
Yeah, it's the notes in between, you know, all
Yeah.
that stuff, you
that's
know.
exactly right. It's those in between notes, man. So
Yeah.
it's just something that I like to bring. You know, when I have to do my part, you know, I like to do that. I've been writing a bunch lately, and a lot of that has been in there.
Right. When
Awesome.
it sounds like you do local stuff also, right?
Yes,
Like
my band Fleshhoarder, we're a local band, but
yeah.
we're starting to do some more things. We have a run next week. We're doing a 3-day run with a band called
Yeah.
Necrogoblicon, and
Right.
we're really excited. We're playing some really nice venues, so it's
Awesome.
local and it keeps me busy.
Yeah.
We're knee deep in brand new music. We're taking a little break to do these shows right now, which is
Yeah.
great. We're
Yeah.
writing new music, man, and trying to keep it fresh. And you know, I love that outlet of trying. You know, that's where I came. I came from the old death metal way. I
Yeah.
remember that's where I was always. My first bands were death metal, so it's good to still have that
Yeah.
outlet to come and just shred brutal shit, and then you know,
Yeah.
play some thrash metal. So it's cool.
Right. Well, it's really cool. I mean, you're on stage with a lot of big names, but then you're like so true to where you live in Texas and like
Try
your
to
local
be.
establishments around. That is so friggin' cool.
I try to go to the shows, you know, I'll go hang out, and you
Yeah.
know, when I'm also a family man, I got my kids and got my
Yeah.
wife, and
Mhm.
you know, when I'm not on the road, I, you know, try to be home and spend
Yeah.
some time with the kiddos and do
Yeah.
homework and the normal life,
Yeah.
and I do a lot of cooking up food, a little Mexican food, a little bit of everything, and it
Yeah.
just, you know, just try to keep it as, you know, as normal as possible. And then like I like to get out there and just, you know, fucking rip and shred and just have
Yeah.
a good time, and just you know, go out and play some good shows, man,
Yeah.
and meet the fans, meet the folks, and you know, it's always good to network, you know, try to
Mhm.
get your name out there and try
Right.
to talk to some folks, and you know, you never know who could be at a show, so it's
Yeah.
always good to just, you know, keep it real with the folks, and you know,
Yeah.
say hello to everybody and say what's
Yeah.
up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So how, I'm curious, what was the first band, like proper band that you had?
Okay, my first proper band would be my band called Disfigured. I
Okay.
was in a band called Disfigured. That was me and my brother and my cousin. Those three Deleon dudes, and we were our first band. And we started right out of high school, and we took it around America. We did some shows from the West Coast to the East Coast, and we did
Mhm.
the local Texas circuit big time. Played. There was a venue in Austin called the Back Room. All the bands used to play in Austin, Texas, and we were like the house band there for it seemed forever. We were just a couple years at least. We were just playing there every week, and that was my first real band with my band called Disfigured. And then from
Mhm.
there, it just a few more local bands, and then Fleshhoarder happened, and we're still
Mhm.
going strong. And then all the other bands that branched off from there too.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Look,
So
we
for
we
all
said we don't
you,
do an interview, and then we're interviewing a mask. He's like, I
yeah,
thought we were gonna talk about guitars.
Oh no, we
yeah,
can talk. Like I said, this is just a good
yeah,
metal talk.
Yeah,
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 We
yeah.
can talk
cool.
about
So
guitar.
let's get to that. Actually, the
I didn't want you to
guitars.
think we lied to you.
Oh no, not at all. Having
So
fun here.
for all the different projects that you do, and I'd speak for myself. Like, there's a lot of different things that I do. Whether it's extreme metal or hard rock stuff or whatever. Um, you know, I use different stuff. Different guitars because they feel different. If I'm playing, say if I'm playing something super aggressive or I'm playing something more slow or whatever, more rock oriented, I tend to switch up guitars sometimes. And do you find yourself doing that? Is there like different, like maybe different rigs that you use or different guitars in the different bands that you're in that you use?
Good question. When it comes to guitars, it's just that mood. What mood I'm feeling. If I'm feeling
Mhm.
blues, I'll probably go pick up my Fender Stratocaster or pick up my Gibson Les Paul, probably my Les Paul, and
Mhm.
just play some, some real soulful blues or some just some Latin tunes. Or if I want to
Mhm.
play metal, then I'm gonna pick up my Deans or my,
Mhm.
and just straight shred on those. So it definitely whatever project I'm in, I usually tend to go for what is going to be best for said project. And or if late for a while there for a month I was playing nothing but my Gibson Les Paul. Recently I was just like, man, I can't get it's a Gibson custom shop, and it's just like, man, it sounds and plays so nice. And I was
Yeah.
just having to learn some songs for a thing I have coming up in June, and they're all in E standard, most of them. So it's really nice, a change of pace to go from like B tuning or A sharp or C
Yeah.
sharp
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
D to just some
Sure.
old school E. And so I was playing a Les Paul for a while, but then I just got my brand new Dean Zero about 2 weeks ago, and it's a 6 string. I wanted no Floyd Rose on this specific guitar. I just wanted a fixed bridge like what the Gibson had, and
Yeah.
tuned to E. And like I said, I have a thrash gig coming up in San Francisco with Will Carroll from Death Angel, who's going to be playing drums for this show, and we got a couple of the Forbidden guys. It's just going to be a kind of a Flotsam and Jetsam dude's going to be on bass. So it's a bunch of
Oh,
awesome players, and they
right.
invited me to come out and jam a set of songs. And so I've been learning all these old school Merciful Fate songs. It's
Nice.
Judas Priest.
Yeah.
It's a nice change of pace,
Yeah.
and it's really cool. So I'm just kind of getting myself prepared for that, and for that I got my new Dean Zero. It's a beautiful guitar, matte black, and I'm about to put a James Hetfield EMG in it. I'm just gonna try to go for that rhythm, man, and just trying to go for that
Yeah.
nice tight rhythm, and looking forward to that. But it's an E standard, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm doing like
Mhm.
that. So I went from my Gibson to a Dean, and still trying to bring the same feel, and but just going to be playing a different guitar, man. But yeah,
Right.
it's always what mood I'm feeling. Usually, real quick inside the house, it's a Fender Stratocaster because it's right by my bed, and when I'm
Yeah.
right here inside my studio, it's a bunch of different guitars. So I'm just kind of jamming different ones at all times. But you're usually my Deans.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. So, and you're endorsed by Dean now, right? I think you said that a minute ago.
Yes, I've been endorsed now with Dean since probably about 2021 now, probably about three or 4 years now, and it's been such an amazing time with Dean. They've been super supportive and great guitars, great people, and staff. Everybody's cool. You know, it's just they've been on my side, on my team since day one. So you know, and not just me. All the great players with Dean, everybody just keeps saying the same thing. So everybody seems pretty happy with the company, man, and I'm stoked to be with them. But before I was with Dean, I was with Jackson Guitars, and I was trying to wave the flag for Jackson for a while, man, but just didn't work. It just didn't work out with them. Don't really want to get too into it or whatever. But super happy with Dean and stoked to keep moving forward, man.
Look, man, if
so you have to work with
Chris
Canella, right?
Yeah,
Canella, right?
Working with Chris Canella.
Chris is awesome, and I think besides being a great instruments, you want to work with a company that's more like a family vibe, and I know Chris. He's a super cool guy, and so that's important is your relationship too, with the company that you're endorsing,
Right.
So,
yes. When I was with Soulfly last year, we were in, I believe, Tampa, where Dean is at, and Chris came out and picked me up in his truck, and we went from the venue and we went to Dean headquarters. I remember we just talked and had cool stories, and just like my brother, just getting to see my brother, man, and we're riding in like. Not a low rider, but just like an old school truck. It was so awesome. I was stoked to be there with him, after being on the road for a little bit, and got to see the Dean factory and meet each individual, from the person at the front door, everybody on the way through, the president, and I mean the lady that runs it there, and then on my way out. It was just cool to know where they're all coming from and who has their hands on the guitars and the love that each person has for the instrument. It was just really cool to witness that and to see that hands on, first there, to see it all. It was super, super rad to experience that with Chris, man. So much love to the homie.
It's like a kid in a candy store, it's like going into
totally, man. Guitars everywhere. It's nice.
And it's good when you get a good product and a good company, and Dean's a good company and a good product, man, that's a killer combination. I love it. And I only deal with people I like. I only deal with companies I like.
And Roger, you work on a lot of Dean guitars.
A lot of Deans. I've had a couple of really nice ones in here lately. Very high end, very solid guitars. Liked them a lot. So
yeah, like I said, next week we have a 3-day run with Fleshhoarder, and I will be running both of my Deans in my Inky case, which a lot. Alex, do you have a Inky case as well?
Yeah, I got 2 of them. Yeah, I got one for the V's, and I got another one for the Les Paul and Strat body.
And if you ever want to be amused, watch me put his 2 V guitars in the Inky cases. Just sit back and video it. It's probably like 2 hours of entertainment.
Oh man, I know that all
it's
too
like a
well.
monkey fucking a football.
I had 2 V's, and I remember having to stick them in there, and it was not an easy task, but just you had to do it a certain way to get it in there without banging the guitar up. But they have the new ones now where it's it's a lot easier to get them in there. But
I think it was so bad the first time I had to call them to make sure I was doing it right, and then I was worried the 2 were going to come together. What did I packed a fire department T-shirt in between them, something like that. Some old T-shirt.
It's in my case. It just went around the world, actually.
It was like some old shirt. It's like, I can't have them come together. I know I did it wrong, and it's just a case. But they're awesome cases.
Yes, I want to talk about the Inky case and just send a lot of love to Dave.
Yeah.
And the whole
Yeah.
crew over at Inky, man, they have been supplying so many awesome musicians from all sorts of genres, not just metal. You see it with the metal guys because we're all at the festivals, and you see the Inkies just rolling every direction.
Yeah.
But you know, with country and with you know, even pop rock, everyone's using the Inky cases. They're everywhere, and you know, and it's good to see them out and about like the way they are, because they definitely blew up and they're doing great. I actually put a couple of lights. I went to the dollar store and bought like 2 $5 lights and put some Velcro, and I put two both of them, and I have one on the top and then one behind the neck of the cases. And anytime I want to light have some light inside my Inky case, I just turn on the light and it lights the whole thing up. And it's that's this nice little addition there to kind of brighten up the inside of it when you're in a dark place or whatever.
Alex, we're doing that with yours. And mine wasn't anything disparaging about the case. Mine was me. The case was awesome. I was not awesome.
No, it's a perfect design for touring musicians, because also the weight of it, you know, they all come in under 50 pounds, you know, where you don't get charged that extra weight, you know. And Mike, I know you know all about that stuff, dealing with the airports.
It's a big deal. It's a
awesome.
big deal.
And I actually got Bob and Ross, you know, in with Enki now too, you know, so I started using them first, and, you know, and those guys see me take mine out, and, you know, and they're like, oh, yeah, I think we got to get. I'm like, I told you, man, you know, and now they're hooked on them too. So we all got them now, you know.
I just got hit up, I think it was yesterday, from my brother Matt from Crowbar, and he's like, "Yo, Mike, I have the same guitars as you, the Exiles. What size Inky case?" He's like, "I'm about to, you know, I'm looking to get it, you know, get one." So it's just good to see, you know, now Crowbar is going to be using the Inky cases, you know. So it's just everyone's using them, and they're awesome, man. So just want to say, real quick story.
You don't have that big metal thing either, you know. Like, remember the, you know, like, the case weighs 150 pounds, you know. It's like, oh man.
Oh man, and I remember seeing, you know, you'll still see those from time to time. You know, I'm like, man, those old heavy cases, man. They're still out there. I was telling Dave about a year ago. I actually used my Inky case. I don't know if anybody else has, but I use mine as a dressing room. So I needed to change.
Actually. Yeah, Bob does. We put him around Bob, and Bob gets his Team Action suit on, and
I had one single Inky case,
you know?
and I remember, like, it was like total view of where all the fans can see, and I was just like, man, I need to change quickly. I don't got time to go to the dressing room. I hit the stage. I got to change right now, and so I just turned my Inky case as long as I could and got like as thin as I could behind it, and just did a quick change. And I was like, all right, done. And I was like, I just thought it was cool. I was like, I used it as a semi dressing room there to block everybody to change it up, man. But those things come in handy for all sorts of odds.
You got to admit, this is probably the craziest commercial they've ever gotten. But it's cool too.
Yeah, true story.
Like, our shit carries guitars, basses, and changing rooms.
Changing rooms. It's funny.
That's funny.
And then lately, gear-wise, I'm sure, Alex, you've heard of the Quad Cortex. Do you have any experience? Have you heard of those?
No, I don't think so.
I've heard of it. I haven't used one.
Okay,
I know a few guys that come in here that do.
Okay, I just got one, and they are changing the game, the Quad Cortex. You got to go check it out. It's the Neural DSP Quad Cortex, and like Megadeth is using these things, Lamb of God, Meshuggah, all these big bands are using this new pedal, and this new pedal is it's everything rolled in to one thing. And I know there's lots of them that say that, but this one is different from all the other ones, as it's a playground of what you can do. And I just recently got one, I believe in December, and I've been building a nice tone, which is great because we all love chasing that the tone, you know, and it's
Yeah.
never ending. It's a never ending chase. So that's what I love about tones, man. You could always think you're there, and then a month
Oh, yeah.
later you're like, all right, I'm turning the highs down or turning the mids down.
Yeah, absolutely. Constantly chasing. Just like the other night, I had a couple revolutions, you know. You know, it's like there was one guitar that, you know, because you know how it is. Sometimes you have a guitar and it may be the same specs as another guitar or identical, but it's just that combination of the pickup and the wood or whatever that, you know, it has this whatever unique characteristics about it. And one guitar where it was just so gainy, you know, and I was just like, man, it's just too. And I used to like that, and now I'm just like, oh, I got to get rid of that, you know. And
I totally know.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
tone chasing it's always changing, you know.
I don't know anything about that. There's my pickup winding station over there.
Oh yeah, yes,
Right.
he's also.
I
he
keep the
makes
lights out. So I do this in my shop. I keep the lights out so you can't see the mess behind me. Yeah, I
So
wind pickups. I don't know anything about chasing tone.
So this thing you're talking about, this is like a solid state kind of like digital or
I mean, it's definitely digital, but it's you know what the Kempers are? Have you seen the Kempers?
right. Is that so? It's like a Kemper then, right?
It's like a Kemper, but way easier to use. A Kemper to me has, you know, just 100 buttons. There's so many buttons and lights.
Yeah, it's too much for me.
Yeah, it's too much for me too. And I was using the Axe effects, which a lot of musicians seem to, you know, lots of guys, you know, use the Axe effects. And I went through a period where I had that for a while, but I could just never dial in a tone. As months and months of chasing, I just was never happy. I was never happy at the end of the day. Now then I was using MOOER. And I want to send a lot of love to the MOOER people. MOOER was another product. And if you look up them and all the different products that they have some amazing line of products. I just got this new little MOOER amp. It's called the Hornet 05. It's about this big, 5 watts. It's an awesome amp for having on the road or having like in your backpack. I'm about to take it with me because it fits in my backpack. It's super small. It's 5 watts. And they call it an intelligent amp. And you hook it up to your phone. You got tones and tones and tones off this little 5-watt amp that you can also Bluetooth, so you can play music off Spotify, music off YouTube, whatever. And you Bluetooth it to there. Then you pick a tone, and now you're jamming right along with the song through the amp. Or if you just want to jam along on your own with no music, and play around with all the tones. MOOER just put out this new little Hornet 05, and this little intelligent amp that you hook up to your phone. It's amazing, and it's just you can sit there and play in the van, in the room, anywhere you go. It's a little 5-watt amp, and it's a smart amp. It's super cool. So I was using their product for a while. Now I'm using the Quad Cortex. The Quad Cortex, man. Like I said, if you get a chance, just look up some videos, look up what it could do.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I wasn't trying to be rude. I was just typing it, so I'll remember it tomorrow. We talked about all this stuff, and I'm like, what the hell was it we were talking about? I'm writing it down now.
It's gonna be a lot easier than, you know, taking a bunch of tube heads with you, I guess, on tour, right? So this plugs into the cabinets, or is this like
you can go to front of house, you can go to cabinets, you can go to both. You could even run like 2 or 3 different musicians into the same pedal, and we could all run off the same pedal together. It does all sorts of stuff. And right now, I am honestly feeling like I'm barely scratching the surface. I dialed in a sick tone, a ripping tone, kind of based off the EVH 5150 100-watt head. So it's a ripping guitar tone. But I'm still just barely scratching the surface with what the Quad Cortex can do. I've seen a lot of videos of a lot of, you know, big players, and I'm just like, man, there's so much more that I could do with this piece of equipment that I'm just kind of just making some tones out of. It sounds good, but I'm barely just getting into what you can really do. And you could also hook it up as your interface and run everything, you know, as your interface right off of this and tones and everything. But it is just it's a very awesome pedal, and I'm really happy to be using it now. And I'm looking forward to using it next week for my first round of shows. And there's a Quad Cortex group on Facebook, and there's so many smart players who are much more intelligent with this than I am. And it's just like, man, I wish I knew what y'all were talking about, but I get what y'all are saying, and I just can't wait to share with everybody. Hey guys, this is what I'm doing, But it's a really cool pedal, and
I wonder that this quad, what's it called, the quad
Cortex?
Yeah, Cortex.
I'm wondering if this is the same thing that Dr. Funeral uses, because those guys are not even going through the cabinets; they're coming through the front of house. They had this little pedal that they used, and I think they would just come through the monitors or something like that on stage.
You can do all that.
It was like, because I know they were telling me like, oh, we have this and it's just so easy. We just travel and we, on tour and we just take this with us instead of bringing,
I think
our
you're
head.
right. I just looked it up. I think that is what they're using. Now I know exactly what you're talking about. It's similar to those other systems.
How would you compare it to like a tube head? Because I know the Kemper comes close, but it's still not, it's not like a tube head. But
so the cool thing about this is that it has a capture. So a lot of guys are going and capturing their two tones, and then I don't know how it does it, but you capture that tone through the cable into this pedal, and then you can A and B it right off the pedal from the amp to the pedal, the amp to the pedal, until you're happy with it. And now you got that tube sound, the tone to the T, right built into your pedal, and now it's right on in there. And it's so many people are doing that now, where they're capturing 100 different heads. You could go in there and just look for the head that you're looking for. Like if I'm looking for a Marshall, JCM 800, or if I'm looking for the Randall Satan or some really obscure Freeman heads or Diesel, someone's already gone and captured that and put it in there. So they're built right into this pedal, and it's just a search on your phone, a download, and it's on your pedal. It's crazy, and it sounds weird, but that's exactly what it does. It's very, very easy to use, and man, the tones are absolutely ripping on this thing. And I'm super happy with it. And it's of course it's always good to have some Mesa heads, but it's always good to be able to throw this in your backpack, fly to Europe or wherever, and then plug right on in and run. And now you got it right there, and you don't have to carry all that, all that stuff around you, and you still have this tone that that you want right at the palm of your hands with the Quad Cortex, So
it sounds similar. Is it like an easier version of like a Fractal or Helix?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the best way to put it. Yes.
Yeah. Alex, maybe we need to make some phone calls, do some experimenting.
If you need some help,
I mean, I tell you, I love having. There's nothing for me. Is nothing like the power of a tube head, and just having that blaring coming out of the cabinets and the speakers. But I do know that technology is really catching up, and a couple friends have like talk about the Kemper with me, and try to get me and Bob to like, hey, we guys should take the Kempers out, and instead of these huge heavy 100-watt heads that tubes blow and transformers blow, and you know how it is on tour. It's just like shit wrong with that stuff. But yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, I have to check. I'm definitely going to check it out.
So when it comes to so you still need a head to power up the cable, to power up the actual Quad Cortex. So you need a head. So when it comes to the head part, I've moved on to the Seymour Duncan Power Stage 200. The Power Stage 200 also fits in the smaller part of my backpack. It's a solid state 200 watt, 3 inches high by 5 inches wide, and it's 200 watts of power built right into this little tiny thing. So on my pedal board, I have my quad cortex, and right above it on my pedal board, I have my head, and they sit together. And then I just run the cable from the back of the head, my speaker cable from there, 50 feet all the way to the back of the cab. So I'm still using the live sound of the cab, but the head is nowhere to be found because it's sitting on my pedal board because it's only yay so big, and it's 200 watts. So it's a ripping little head, and it's given the balls to that quad cortex, and I'm good to go. Now, a lot of the bigger bands, like say Death Angel and Megadeth, are using these Seymour Duncan Power Stage, but there's a bigger one, and that's the Power Stage 700, and that one's just a little bit bigger, but it's 700 watts built right into this little thing that's this big, that is 3 pounds, 2 pounds, and you got 700 watts. So if you go look at some of these guys who's like YouTube rigs, you'll see 2 700-watt power stage sitting right on top of 2 quad cortex. So they're running each one through the 700-watt head, and that's what I kind of want to get. It's a little bit more cash, but the 200-watt is doing the job. But the next one up would be that 700, and man, that thing is 700 watts. It's badass, and you can power a lot with that thing right there. And you don't have to carry around the big heads, but you still need a head for the quad cortex. So you can run them big heads, but I'm using a little tiny 200-watt head that just sits on my pedal board, and it's so convenient that I just set my pedal board down, plug up, run one cable to my cab, the wireless and whatnot, and my tone, my head, my everything is right in front of me, and my tuner, everything is right where I need it to be, and the only thing behind me is my cab. So, and that's pretty much my setup right there when I moving into next week.
That sounds easy too, and it also probably works out where you know how it is. Like, say if you're the headliner or you're direct support or whatever, and you're on a tour, and sometimes you do sound check and shit gets messed with, throughout the show. The settings on your head, and you get up on stage, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on? And if somebody moves something or whatever. So I'm assuming that this thing is already saved, and you don't even have to worry about any of that kind of shit. It's like it's there, and that's it. You on stage, and voila, you're ready to go.
I just set my pedal board down, plug up, and I'm ready to go. I don't have no heads for anybody to touch or anything. Everything's on my pedal board. As long as no one's going on my pedal board and messing with stuff. We're totally good. And even on that 200-watt power stage, it comes with a small EQ, which is great. It comes with a low, medium, and high, and it's all you need. So if I want to hit the little button to use that EQ, I can. But then if I want to hit the little button on the head to turn it off, I'm just running straight my tone anyways. But if I want to add even more, a little bit of EQ, there's a nice one right on in that power stage. So, and that's, like I said, on my pedal board. So it's right there. If I'm on stage and I'm like, man, I need a little bit more low end or a little bit more high end, I can just do it with this, without having to turn around and go mess with the big head. I can just bend right down, turn this up a little bit, and just go from there right there. So it's as easy and convenient as I can try to make it.
Yeah. Well, and Mike, you said it best. I hear it from a lot of local guys, and I always say when I'm saying local guys, it could mean local guys here or anywhere, but the ones that I talk to, they say exactly what you did. When they're doing load ins, they're just taking their stuff in on a backpack. It's a lot easier. It's less to lug around, not as heavy, more convenient. And a lot of local guys are using them here. So some are still using tube amps and all that kind of stuff, but more are going to that kind of like the FM9s, the fractals, things like that.
Yep. Yeah. And it's just, you're still getting these tones, and you're still you're still happy with what you got. So I mean, if you're happy, it's easier. You're not breaking your back.
Yeah.
I'm definitely all for it. So it's definitely more convenient. And like traveling the world, all I got to do is put this thing in a nice little case, put it in my backpack, and off I go, plug right on in, and I got my same guitar tone that I had sitting in my room here in my jam room that I have in in these big stages. So it's very reliable,
especially festivals. When you're doing a festival, I could see that really coming in handy for something like that too.
Definitely. And like I said, so many bigger bands are using the Quad Cortex. It's growing so fast, and they're updating their system so not rapidly but so frequently that all the users that are using this pedal are just so happy. It's just like they keep adding little things, or if people have things that they want to fix, they put it out there, and the company Neural, they're listening to what these people are saying. Man, you need to try changing this, or try doing this. They've made it easier, and they're about to update in a few weeks, this company, for the pedal. And what they're about to do is, I don't want to say breaking anything, but it's groundbreaking or anything, but it's a big move. And what they're doing is they have a plugin system, the Neural DSP, and the plugin system with the tones that you can get from their plugins are so many people are using in their studios. They are about to make the plugins straight available on the Quad Cortex, so you can be able to use. I mean, it's a tones, 1,000 guitar tones that you have on these plugins on your computer are now going to be available right on the Quad Cortex. And like, say a band like Gojira, I want to say they were band number one that kind of really put their name and Neural's name with them. They were like the first band that kind of connected everything, because their guitar tones were available, and they have crushing tones, and they were available through this plugin. Now you're going to be able to have their guitar tones plugged right on into the Quad Cortex in a week. And it's just a lot of people are excited about this move that they're getting ready to make. So it's just a good time for technology and us everyone that uses these things.
Mike, I want to congratulate you. This is the first time we've ever had a discussion about like electronics and modeling, and Alex didn't break out in hives. He almost sounds open to it tonight.
I think right now, like, as far as like whether it's guitar building or building amps or effects, like I think the greatest stuff is happening now. I think as far as, I mean, it's come so far, from whether it's mass produced instruments, compared to the 80s, where mass produced instruments, they were junk, and now you can get a quality guitar, made, that's pretty reasonable price to buy, or whether it's pickups or amp moduling or whatever, and like I use the Fishman pickups now. I've been using it for about, I don't know, 7 years, something like that, and it was just by mistake. I got guitars from ESP that they sent me to keep in Europe, and I had the Fishmans already in there, and I was just like, what the hell? Because I was talking about tone chasing, and that's my next question is about pickups with you, Mike. Is I used the EMGs for years, but I just got tired of that sound. Like I like the diversity of a passive pickup. So, but I wanted a pickup that had the hotness, of an active pickup, but the diversity and what's the word I'm looking for? The clarity of a passive pickup. So that's how I got into the Fishman. So what pickups are you using, or has that changed over the years as far as like what you used to like in a pickup and now you like something else?
That's a good question. when I was doing the illegals specifically, and we were doing we were doing a Pantera set for a few years, I was using Seymour Duncan pickups, and it was, I want to say it was, man, the Screaming Demon. It was, I can't remember specifically, but it was a really high-end pickup. I remember that. And we were kind of going for that higher-end, dime bag style.
Right.
And,
yeah.
I remember being really happy with the Seymour Duncans, and it's great pickups. And then I started using the EMGs and was just really happy with that, more of a warm, straightforward, but like more of like a warm tone. It's consistent throughout, the 81 and the 85. So many players use those two specific pickups that they've stayed consistent. And, if anything, they've gotten better over the years with those two. And I love the warmth of the bridge pickup, and even the more darker tone on the neck pickup of the 80, the 85. It's a great pickup. But I just got that Dean guitar from Dean 2 weeks ago, and it came with that Fishman pickup. So I have one, and I just got the James Hetfield EMG to swap out. But right now, for the last few weeks, I've been playing with it, and I can hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
it's I'm not going to say night and day, but you could hear the difference from the EMG to that Fishman. It's a good pickup, man. I'm not gonna. I have nothing bad.
What you're going for too. I mean, for immolation, it's a lot of chords and stuff, a lot of like 6 strings, and if that doesn't come through, it's just going to sound terrible. So like those chords really got to ring out. So the Fishman pickups were perfect for us.
I could see that.
But, that James Hetfield pickup you're talking about is a really good pickup, and it is kind of like Fishman's, where it has that kind of middle ground of like a passive meets active, kind of like have you tried the EMG 5766 set?
See, that's what I have in my Exiles, and honestly, those are my favorite pickups of all the pickups. Are those right there, because they just have a tone that's unlike anything else. I'm so happy, especially my blue Exile.
You're a great pickup. I like that 5766 set.
Well, they're sort of going after the old PAF sound, right?
Yeah, but with that, I guess the gain and the hotness of an act, it's kind of, and they're a bit more diverse than say an 81,
right?
Like that,
And like you said earlier, I have 2 identical guitars. One's brown, one's blue, but they're the same guitar, same setup, same pickups. But for some reason, the blue one to me just sounds better than the brown one.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, and I just always go to this one first, as my main axe, because I like the way this guitar sounds more than this one. And this is my backup, and I love this guitar. But just like you said, same pickups, the 57 and 66, but this guitar just has a brighter sound that I just can't get away from. So it's just, I dig that.
That works out, because every guitar has its own identity. You could have all the same specs and they could sound completely different,
It's just by that one thing, that one sounds different, and it's just, you like that one more, it's just it totally works out that way.
Yeah,
for sure.
Which Fishman came in the Dean?
Oh man, I am honestly not too sure. It was just a stock Fishman.
What a modern, Alex, right? I like the moderns.
I like moderns. I like the Will Adler set from Lamb of God.
Yes.
They're more like I have them in 2 of my guitars, and I've tracked with them in the studio, and they sound like more of like a hot rodded vintage PAF or something like that, and really a lot of clarity, and those are really good. But they have the classics, Fishman classics, which were based on like a PAF, vintage PAF pickup.
Also great sound of pickups.
And the moderns are more, geared towards, you know, metal players,
Metal
obviously.
dudes, yes.
Yeah.
That's probably what's in one of these. I'd have to like look to see what it is, but
Is that
coming
the
right up,
guitar where it's like an explorer shape? Is that the one? I thought
yes,
I saw you put up something recently. Yeah, it looks
yeah.
like a really
I'm sitting on my front porch and I'm jamming through that little MOOER
I
Hornet
think
little
I
amp.
saw that.
Yeah, it's the sickest little amp, and I also use pig hog cables. You know, this is a certain kind of cable that I've been using. I've been with this company for a long time, so I was trying to push the cable. I'm pushing the amp. I'm just trying to promote all these things, and
Yeah.
but the Explorer Style Zero, man, and like I said, it came with this Fishman, and it's a ripping pickup.
Yeah.
But I just did some research on the James Hetfield EMG, and I was watching the videos, and it even sounds like it's going to bring more of like a Les Paul, a Gibson sort of vibe, because a lot of guitar players were saying he was kind of trying to bring more of that like Les Paul low end, sound to this pickup. So I can't wait to hear what it sounds like inside this Dean and through my guitar tone. I can't wait just to, I have not heard it yet. So once it all comes together here in a few weeks, we'll know then,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's got James Hetfield's name on it. You know,
It's gonna be
the
awesome.
greatest rhythm player, him and Malcolm Young, as far as I'm concerned. You know,
Oh
it's like
man,
those two
Malcolm
guys are,
Young,
like, the
underrated.
greatest, you know?
Yes.
You know, you talked. I saw that video. I swear to God, true story. I saw the video you playing on your front porch, and I swear to God, I'm looking for the amp. Now it all comes together. You're talking about this little amp. I'm looking in the video like, is he playing? Like, where's the sound coming
Yes,
from?
I was playing on my front porch right there. I was
swear that
sitting on my front
as
porch.
you said that, it clicked. I was like, that's the video. I was
Yeah,
like,
there's a little amp sitting right next to me, and man, I love this little thing. Like I said, I could talk about this little amp. Like I said, it's called the Hornet 05i. You can go look it up and look at the videos at this little thing. It's 5 watts, and it's an intelligent amp, and it works off your phone. You hook it right up to your Bluetooth, right to this little thing, and now you have. It's crazy. It has beautiful clean tones. Where I'm sitting there playing, I was playing this Ozzy song the other day, "Close My Eyes Forever." Him and Lito Ford.
Yeah,
great song. But I was sitting there like trying to find this chorus and flanger, and it was all coming out. It sounded so nice. And then you just play along to the song, and now you're practicing the song with the song. And this little amp's cool. So but it's the one in the video. It's right next to me. It's $100 on Amazon, and it's worth
beat it.
Yeah, it's worth so much more to me because this thing is like for days. It's my best friend. I can take it anywhere and sit and just plug up, and you charge it up through a little USB, and it's charged back up. And man, it's just. There's a Black Album guitar tone I've been using, and it's like Metallica's Black Album, and I'll go hit it, and it has like that holier than thou guitar tone. It's so sick, and it's coming out of this little amplifier, so it's cool, man. Like
I'm gonna have to look it up. I've been writing, I've been typing them on the screen over here while we've been talking. I'll tag. I mean, obviously you're passionate about these companies. I'll tag them all in the video also for the companies.
Thank you, man. Yeah,
they sound like great. I'm gonna look them all up tomorrow. This is cool stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like I said, with today's. Me and somebody were talking a few years ago. I think it was my friend Steven, but he was like, "Man, if Jimi Hendrix was alive today, and you gave him a quad cortex, he
would have. I can imagine what that would sound like. You know?
And he got to learn it and was like, "All right, I'm gonna learn this." He would make sounds out of this thing. Who knows, So it's like the technology is just, it's crazy, man. It's just, it's cool. It's cool that it's at our fingertips, and you do what you want as you wish with it, from, like you said, from different styles of music to whatever,
And in the end of the day, it doesn't, as far as like, oh, well, you can only use this for this type of music or that. It doesn't matter. It's whatever works for you, and that's all that matters. It's like, like I saw, I think it was recently, a couple of weeks ago, I saw like a photo of Pete Townsend, and he was playing a Jackson soloist. Everybody was making a big thing about it. Like, Pete Townsend's playing a Jackson soloist, you know? Yeah, that's awesome, man. You know, whatever works, man. You know?
That's super cool. I have to see if I can find that photo. See that cat holding a Jackson soloist. That's super awesome, man.
Yeah.
What
about strings? What do you use them for strings?
Okay, good question. With strings, I've been with the Ernie Ball company for so long, probably like 10 years now. I've been with Ernie Ball, but I've with a 6-string, I like to use I think they call the heavy slinkies, like the little orange pack, and it'll be like the 10 through 52s. Those are what I use on my 6-string. When it comes to my 7 strings, I use the heavy bottoms, and they are 10 through 56s. Right. So those are the string gauges that I prefer to use. And tuning wise, it just differs from different projects. The fleshhoarder stuff is in 7-string, and we're in A sharp or B flat. So it's really low, and having those 56s, they keep it nice and tight and nice and tuned. And you know, anything heavier, just wouldn't be for me, or anything lighter, same thing. I'm really happy right where I'm at. And then with the 6-string, having the 52s, nice heavy rhythms, you know, hitting that open E and just chugging right along. So I'm happy with the Ernie balls, and I just got a box from them a few days ago with a bunch of goodies. So
are you doing the good old slinkies or the paradigms, cobalts, any of the coatings?
The slinkies, always slinkies. Yeah, I got a box of paradigms, and I have them on one of my guitars, but I always prefer the slinkies. Yeah. Just stick to the old school and where it works best. I'm just it makes me happy, so I'm good to go right there.
Yeah. We can talk good about Ernie Ball. I'm a dealer for them too. We usually bag on Gibson, and I'm a big fan of Gibson, but. That's kind of an inside joke.
I love Gibson, but I just got disappointed over the years of the quality of the guitars. Just not.
Okay. Wait, what strings do you use?
What's that?
Well, what strings do you use?
Oh, strings. I use Deleon.
Dude, right on. You like those?
Yeah, and I've been using them like 30 years, but I used to use Ernie Ball in the 80s. I used them, and then I switched to Diodarios. But we 1356 standard, C standard for most of the bands that I do.
Okay, awesome. Man, 13.
Me and Bob, 1856. And I know some people like pick up using a heavier gauge string, and it's like, oh, it feels like a bass or something, but it's just, for me, I'm used to it. And if I'm tuned to E, I'll use like 10 gauge strings.
Awesome. Right on. Just trying to float. You could go that way.
If they're super thin, it just feels like a piece of thread on me anymore. It's just because years of playing that way, you just get used to that, and I could tell you, like, the first guy was Bob, actually, that I remember started using the 1356. And that was, I guess, maybe 1991 or something. And I remember that he started using the thicker strings because, we back in the day, none of us knew what the hell we were doing. We were tuned down low. Everything's all whacked out. And, there's the beginning stage and everything. But so I remember picking up it was right when they first got signed to Roadrunner, and right before they did the first record, they had like an advance or whatever, and they went out and bought all this stuff, and he got a Jackson soloist, and he had the 1356 gauge strings, and I was just like, feels like a bass string or something, because I was using the Ernie balls before that, and but over time you just get used to it, of course, and it's just like, you as a guitar player, I'm sure if somebody else plays one of your guitars, it may feel weird, but for you, it feels like home,
Yes,
and everybody has their own way of doing things,
Yes.
So.
You pick up someone else's guitar and they use lighter strings. I'd be like bending the shit out of it just because it's a lighter string. I'm just, I'm like, man, these are
well, yeah, and it's funny about lighter strings. Like I saw on, like, one of my favorite guitar players is Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, and I saw an interview with him, and he uses thin gauge strings, and he said at first he used thick gauge string because he felt that gave it fatter tone, and he said he met BB King, And BB King, he said, "Oh, let me check out your guitar." And he's, "Oh, let me check out your guitar." So he said, BB King said to him, "Hey, son, why are you working so hard? You don't need the thick strings." So Billy Gibbons switched to, thinner gauge strings. And you think about that guy's tone. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got,
Oh,
one of the fattest guitar, and Tony Iommi, one of the first guys probably to use thin gauge strings,
Yeah.
and so, there's no right or wrong, and that's
Yeah.
what another thing I love about doing this show is just talking to, different, players, and hearing the stories, and
Yeah.
hearing how they do things, and, and it's fascinating to me.
Well,
definitely.
Inspiring.
the cool thing is I think, well, it's fascinating watching you all exchange stories for me, but it also listening to all this helps me as a repair tech also. Helps me listen to different things that people are looking for, listening to customers. It always kind of expands your horizons of what you do with guitars and how you make them feel, how you make them play,
Man, talking guitars and gears, like we could keep going and going and going. It's always
Yeah,
a great conversation when you get with your friends, especially on
yeah,
the road and you're running into
yeah,
so
Yeah.
and so, and you're like, man, what are you using? What are you using? What you got?
Yeah.
It's always a good
one of these
conversation.
days we gotta do a tour together, at some point,
Oh man, I
That'll
would
happen.
dream come true. I remember watching you guys at Hellfest 2019, and like
Oh, yeah.
running to the stage, like through the crowd, and like seeing you
I
guys.
remember seeing you. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
right
seeing you
on.
on the
You're
yeah,
right
yeah.
over there watching you guys.
Yeah,
You've been one of my favorite bands since I could remember, man. So we
well,
got
thank
to
you,
do
man.
a tour at some time, man. We
Yeah,
got
yeah,
to.
for sure, man. Definitely, man. So, speaking of that, what do you got coming up next?
So next week I got a run with Fleshhoarder. We got 3 shows. Looking forward to that. We're writing a new album right now. We're staying super busy. I've been writing a
Mhm,
lot of demos, getting things ready for. I don't want to say Soulfly particularly, but writing some
mhm,
things for Soulfly, just sending them some
mhm,
ideas, making sure that
mhm,
they know I'm trying to stay on it for sure with them.
mhm,
Always writing illegal stuff. Philip, I, and the guys, we've had shelves of riffs and ideas, stacked away, and so many ideas, and still I'll still track ideas and send them to him, and we have just keep while he's busy doing his thing. So
Yeah.
still got that going. Um, Soulfly has some gigs coming up in May. We have 2 really big festivals,
mhm,
one in Daytona, Florida, and then one in Ohio. Playing with Motley
mhm.
Crue, which I'm super stoked.
Yeah,
Saw Motley. I got to see them in '90 or '89 on the Dr. Feelgood tour. So to be able to play with them same day is just super
Yeah.
awesome, man. I'm super stoked on
oh,
that. And then August we have a European run with Soulfly, from what I'm hearing. And then at the end of
mhm,
the year, a U.S. run with Soulfly, heading to the Lamb of God uh, boat, the Headbangers boat, at the end of October. We're going to be doing that as well, and that's going to be. I've been sold
oh,
out. It's going to just be a rager on a boat. I've never done a cruise, or particularly been on a cruise, so I'm looking
mhm,
forward to hanging with all my friends and jamming with all these awesome bands, and so
mhm,
definitely got a lot going on this year. And then I also have the a show in August in Europe with a thing called the Bay Area International. I want to talk about this for a second. The Bay Area
mhm,
International is a bunch of like Bay Area awesome dudes, and we've done a couple of shows, and I was asked to be a part of the very first one, and we got to do a Dynamo in Eindhoven, and we jammed a song with like so many amazing players. Randy from Lamb of God, John from Lamb of God, Death Angel guys. It was just we all got to jam these songs together. Then we did a performance in San Francisco, and we're doing it again in August. And it's just like
mhm.
a bunch of Bay Area OGs and a Texas guy coming together and paying tribute to you know metal past, and it's a good
Mhm.
time, and that's coming up in August. So I got that coming up, and I got to learn some songs for that. So definitely got a lot to look forward to, a lot of projects, and in the new Soulfly, I really want to focus on, and I really want to, I want to be a part of that and make sure all that is heavy and groovy, and new Fleshhoarder, man. So just staying busy and just ready to get back on stage next week.
You have to come to the East Coast somewhere.
Oh man, hopefully soon, man. Try to get out that way and fit it into the schedule and make it out that way, because I got so many homies out that way, and just lots of good times, good venues out that way, man. So we got to make it out that way soon. Possibly in October on the Soulfly run when we do. It'll be a month long, I believe. I'm not trying to give away too much or anything. I'm still in the early stage, but hopefully the East Coast will be on that run, and we'll be out that way soon.
That'll be good. That'll be good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're
getting to be known for people slipping with secrets, aren't we?
Just trying to keep it reasonable so I don't get in any trouble.
We got you.
But still want to keep it interesting, and let you guys know that we're making some moves here soon, man. So should be good.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, I can't wait to hear the new music. See you on the road. Hopefully, I get to catch you, or we cross paths somewhere. Festival or on tour or whatever. And it's always great to catch up with you and talk with you and stuff. And I just want to thank you for coming on the show. It's been an absolute blast.
Absolutely.
Talking about cool stuff. Like talking about inspiration and guitars. And man, thanks again, Mike and Roger. If you have anything to add,
you know what, I'd like to throw it out to Mike and maybe a couple other people. We've talked about having like a town hall with like local bands, and again, when I'm saying local, I mean local anywhere, and it'd be cool to get a couple of you guys that could just sit and chat with some local guys that are trying to be songwriters or trying to do whatever to make them better. It'd just be a cool vibe, I think.
I'm always down. As long as I have some time, I love to come out, especially for dudes like that. It would be good to just give them some words of advice or some inspiration, man. So if you guys ever get that going, or let me know. I'll be there, man. I'll make some time, and I'll chat it up, man. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Definitely. I appreciate that. And it's been great talking to you tonight.
Thanks again for having me, man. It's been it has honestly been a rad talk in my book. It's been so much gear, so much stories, and we could go on and on and on, man. And before we go, I just want to send some quick love to all my gear homies that helped me out, man. To Dean Guitars, to the Inky Cases, to the EMG, to the Pig Hog Cables, to the Futone family for putting all the little specs and little ands, ifs, and buts on my guitar, to Mesa Boogie, to Richter guitar straps for strapping it down. I just got some new wireless packs and in-tune guitar picks. I use 1.5s, a nice heavy guitar pick for the down picking, and Ernie Ball strings, man. So just want to send the love to all the gear out there for supporting the cause, man, and to you guys and to all the metalheads. Thank you guys for having me, man. It's been fun.
Thanks for being on. Alex, you want to close us out? I'll hit the button and y'all can say your goodbyes if you want.
Well, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And once again, thanks to my brother Mike for coming on tonight. And look out for the next episode.
Definitely. Thank you, guys.